In this container over here I have a very special kind of Neocaridina shrimp. And no, it's not the red kind, nor is it the blue one, and it's also not the yellow one. I already got all three of those and I got them set up in all different enclosures, but this is a completely new color entirely, and I got some really cool big plans for these guys. But it's probably gonna take me a couple of months before we can get to those big plants, so in the meantime I thought we could set them up in a fishbowl. Now these shrimp are absolutely perfect to keep in a fishbowl like this. They don't really require a heater. If you set them up correctly, they don't even require a filter. So let's get to work designing a really cool fishbowl for these guys. And at the end of the video I will reveal what kind of Neocaridina shrimp we got in here. The bowl I'm working with today holds roughly 5 liters. So it's too small to house fish, but it's fine for these shrimp. And the first thing I'm adding is a mixture of gravel and aqua soil. I have some of this left over from when I made the Pico Gudgeonscape. The aqua soil lowers the pH, which is beneficial for the shrimp, and it will also feed our plants. The plants I plan on adding aren't very demanding, but they will appreciate the aqua soil. Next up is the hardscape. I'm starting out with a piece of lava rock. Its porous surface is perfect for beneficial bacteria to colonize. I also added a piece of driftwood that sticks up and out of the water. I really like this look and it creates a place for me to add riparian plants later on. Anyway, I felt the scape was still a bit barren, so I added another lava rock. Now that looks much better. Now for the plants. I'm temporarily removing the driftwood to make planting a little easier. And I'm going to start off with some Cryptocorini. These are some of my favorite plants. They're also very slow growers, which is good in a smaller tank. But even if they grew fast, I'm not too worried about them growing too big. Once I get these shrimps to their bigger home, nearly all the plants in this setup will move to the new tank as well, including the next plant, Elodia. These stems come from my pond where they are growing absolutely wild, and I do need to keep an eye on them to make sure they don't overrun this tank as well. And once the driftwood is back in place, it's time for a little riparian growth. I decide to add a Syngonium. And I'm just wedging its roots between the side of the container and the driftwood. But it turns out there's just a little too much space there. So to help the plant stay in place, I'm covering its roots with a little bit of filter sponge, and now it stays in place on its own. And finally, some Anubias. This is another super easy plant and I like to use this in pretty much every setup I make. It can simply be wedged between grasses in the hardscape and it will be just fine. Alright, now that the hardscape and plants are in place, it's time for the water. And while I fill up the bowl, I would like to say that it's best to let the tank cycle for a couple of weeks prior to adding animals. In this case, I didn't have that luxury and instead will do daily water changes for the first week. Now let's get the shrimp. In this container I got about 10 wild type Neocaridina. And I know what you must be thinking. With all the different colors available, you decide to choose the one without any color? But that's exactly the point. I'm working on my most ambitious project to date and these shrimp will be a part of it. The tank will need a cleanup crew and these shrimps are perfect for the job. The only problem is that the main inhabitant of that setup might try to eat the shrimp. I'm obviously going to add plenty of hiding spaces to minimize the risk, but selecting a shrimp that doesn't look like a skittle will also help. And there you have it, a simplistic fishbowl design for some Neocaridina shrimp. And I think the simplistic nature of this scape really shines in the fishbowl that is often hard to work with. But if you're more into detailed scapes, I recommend you watch this video next to see me build a jungle for my Blue Dream shrimp. I'll see ya there.